having tonight. I think it's manifested in the principles of the 9/12 movement. All of you, I assume, are supporters of the 9 principles and the 12 values. And I am one of those people who does feel that if every American citizen manifested those principles and those values in his or her own life, we would probably have a lot fewer problems with the government than we do now. We clearly do have a disconnect between what the federal government thinks, what this Congress thinks, what Nancy Pelosi thinks, what John Hall thinks, what President Obama thinks, and what you all are experiencing in your lives here in Orange County. I'd like you to think for a moment about how you define prosperity. You define it as being certain that you have gainful employment that extends into the future as far as you can see. You define it as having a home for your family. You define it as being able to provide for your loved ones. You define it as being able to invest in charitable causes that you believe in. I can certainly share with you that those are ways in which I define prosperity. And I've had the privilege of campaigning in District 19 throughout the district, nearly 1,500 square miles. I do come from Mount Kisco. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. But I've had the privilege of campaigning here for the past 8 months. And one of the things that I've found, one of the things that I've observed is that friends and neighbors here feel that their prosperity is threatened. I've traveled with businessmen and businesswomen, met with and talked with people who are model citizens, who have worked hard all their lives, who have given charitably to their communities, who have employed many people other than themselves. 2 people come to mind vividly. They're both contractors in Rockland County. One's a union shop, one's not. One's a commercial contractor, one's a residential contractor. Right now, they're both kind of running on fumes. One's got a 6-month time horizon from one business project to the next. The other used to employ a couple dozen people, now employs 1. And they're just about to close up and leave New York State. And these are men who have done everything right. The only mistake they made was to put their faith in the state of New York and in the United States of America in 2010, that if they were honest businessmen, they'd be able to make a good living and provide a good living for others in their community. And the problem is clear. This federal government, and in the case of New York State, this state government, takes far too much from all of us, from what we work to earn, what we want to invest in our communities, what we want to spend here, what we want to save here. These good men don't have clients and customers because there aren't people here who have money to spend with them. And they are far from alone, which is why, of course, we're losing businesses from New York. We're losing residents from New York. We see what's happening. We see default coming down the pipe for our state government, and we know that it's going to happen to our federal government, too. You may have seen my tagline. I'm a doctor, I'm a mother, I'm a businesswoman. I come here from Mount Kisco. I've lived in District 19 in Mount Kisco and Bedford for 22 years. The doctor part of it is that I'm an ophthalmologist. And my small business started when I hung a shingle in Mount Kisco in 1989. It was my own solo practice, and I appreciate fully the challenges of investing capital and hiring employees and working day and night and weekends to make things go. And I was very blessed. I love my patients, serve them well. I'm a surgeon. Had to make a lot of tough decisions in behalf of my patients along the way. There's nothing that quite concentrates the mind like operating on somebody's eye. I can tell you. And I'm accustomed in that way to doing things that are challenging and difficult and to making them work and to making things go successfully. I was fortunate in 1996 to become a partner in a large multi-specialty medical group, the Mount Kisco Medical Group, and I remained there until 2005. And the parents in the room will appreciate the challenges of raising young adolescents, in my case 2 boys, now 19 and 17 years old. So in 2005 I actually did defer to the mother piece of my life, and I decided to retire from full-time practice and stay home with my boys for a couple of years as a full-time mom. I'm very blessed. I've been married for 29 years now, and my husband, in fact, in deference to this congressional run, this call to higher service, if you will, to your service, has now become the parent of record for a 17-year-old, if you will, the parent in charge. So I've been very fortunate to have some wonderful life experiences that also inform an approach to thinking about citizenship, to thinking about the role of government in our lives, to thinking about how we need to liberate you from what has become an oppressive federal government that threatens only to become worse. We had too much spending before President Obama and the current Congress were elected. There's no question about that. People who say the Republicans in Congress were not conservative enough are absolutely right. They weren't. They spent too much of the money. When times are flush, it feels as though you can do that. And, you know, it's for a good cause. It sounds really appealing to care for our neighbors. This health law that we have now has the best of intentions. Some people say the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Amen.
And I think that this health law and our social benefits system, which is really what is the looming disaster in the federal budget, all started because we want to make sure, the American way, to make sure that our neighbors are well cared for. None of us, I know none of you, charity being one of, as you know, the values that you honor, charity being our value, we don't want to see other people suffer for lack of life necessities, for lack of access to good, affordable health care. But the problems ensue when we confer that power on the federal government.
12 minutes.
Thank you. I'm going to finish up in a second.
Okay.
When we confer that power, that enormous power upon the federal government to manage our lives, to manage the things that the founding fathers and the framers, and the founding mothers too, had faith in us to pursue for ourselves. George Washington talked about healthy self-interest, and he wasn't talking about being selfish. He was talking about taking responsibility. Personal responsibility, another of your values, another of our values. Doing the right thing. Our Constitution guarantees us the freedoms to do the things that we need to do without the federal government becoming our oppressor. That's why it was written. I am a passionate believer in American exceptionalism. I'm the daughter of an immigrant. I'm a first-generation American. My mother came here in 1948 from England. Nationalized health care was the last straw for her. She knew what was going to happen to her country. And, of course, we've seen it. She came here for the freedoms that our Constitution guaranteed us. I was raised in Munster, Indiana. Hard work. I put myself through college in part by working at a steel mill. There are a lot of them out there. And I was lucky enough to gain a scholarship for medical school. I also took in typing. So I know what it's like to work, to earn, to save and invest. I want to stop the federal government from spending vastly more of your money than it needs to. I want to see your tax cuts of 01 and 03 become permanent, not go away in January 2001. I want to see the estate tax eliminated. I want to see the alternative minimum tax eliminated. I want to see the capital gains tax reduced. I want to see you have a mandatory spending cap and a balanced budget amendment with a guarantee of no new taxes. And I'm also willing to talk about a flat tax or a fair tax, because I think those are ideas that may well be worth considering. Has anybody seen Paul Ryan's Roadmap for America? I think it's excellent, because the only way we are going to stop the cycle of deficit and debt is by controlling the size and scope of this federal government, controlling the spending. Stopping your taxes is one crucial aspect, but if we don't control the spending, we are going to end up in unbearable debt. The Fed will monetize the debt. We will be in the hole in ways that future generations will never get out of.
We're 10 minutes now. We need to move to questions.
You bet. So I'm happy to take your questions now, and I realize